The red pill community is in danger. Andrew Tate and Sneako are beefing. All of it's going down today, but I guess I gotta show you the clip that really got everything started. Essentially, let me just quickly sum it up. Sneako unfollowed Andrew Tate on Twitter. Here's the clip as to why that happened.
Well, OnlyFans girls need attention to sell their OnlyFans, and losers need attention to sell their stream. And none of them have any talent. None of them are insightful. None of them have any wisdom or life experience. None of them have anything to teach you. Birds of a feather flock together. So my answer is, in this attention economy, unfortunately, on the race to the bottom, while everyone does more and more stupid things to get views, I don't think I am ever going to be surprised by how low they will sink. And if hanging around with an OnlyFans girl is going to get them some attention on the internet, they're going to do it. Same as they're going to do anything else to get some attention on the internet, like degrade themselves endlessly, scream at a camera, be clowns, be morons, sip lean, whatever crap they do to get views. That's what they're going to do.
Now, Sneako also responded, and I was going to play the clip, but I mean, the clip didn't really say much. I mean, you can just search it up real quick. It's on YouTube. You can just search up Sneako's response, and all he says is he's disappointed and how he thinks that people in the same sphere should be more connected, and how he doesn't really like how conservatives are almost infighting with one another. I don't know. But let me just bring up a point that I really feel no one's talked about. Did Andrew and Sneak, were they ever even friends? Because what I noticed is Andrew would rarely ever talk about Sneako at all. He did have him on one time live in person, so they've met in real life. But even in that stream, it seemed like Andrew wasn't really very interested in Sneako. It seemed like he was always more talkative and more conversational with Fresh and Fit. It didn't seem like he really cared about Sneako. He just kind of saw Sneako as a guy who's there, has similar beliefs, but ultimately is just a young guy. And I think that may be also part of it. Although then again, he really tried helping Aiden. I don't know. But what I've noticed is that Andrew never really cared about Sneako, and that, or not cared, but they never really, like, Andrew would never talk about it. It was always usually Sneako heavily talking about Andrew, and then that's about it. The person who I saw most connected with Andrew often was Tristan. Tristan would often talk to Sneako. I believe that before they got arrested, Tristan sent Sneako a message like, hey, you're in charge now, or something like that. But I never saw Andrew specifically being like that. I could be wrong. It's not like I keep up with these guys that much to where I know the entire lore. But let me just say this. Sneako has changed for the better. I think you're seeing him slightly improve a little more. He's not as crazy anymore. Like me, I was a Sneako fan before all this stuff happened, and then all of a sudden it just became him yelling. He basically became, it's not even just because of what he believes. To me, it was always that Sneako became an SJW. He would scream and yell anytime someone disagreed with him. He would call somebody a bot if they disagreed with him. I remember his argument with Papa Gut. The bro kept running away often. And that's literally what SJWs are. They run away. They call someone racist if they disagree with you. And they don't even try to conversate with you. And I thought it was hypocritical that Sneako, this guy who wants to bring good to the world, just went into all these arguments doing what an SJW would do. But seeing right now, Sneako has changed a little more. He's doing more IRL streams. He's talking more to other YouTubers like Bradley Martin, Neon. And I think that's better. I think it's better that he's doing that because he can still spread his message, but I think he's being more active. I think just being locked in a room, being forced to talk about the same thing must get exhausting. So it's nice to see that he's spreading himself out there more rather than just being tight in this little bubble. Because ultimately that's what caused him to lose his YouTube channel. He just became way too insane, and he didn't know how to get his message across without being a dick to others and just doing what SJWs do. Now, and what do I think about what Andrew said? I think he does have a fair point. Why is Sneako talking to OnlyFans girls? And if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that to me, I do not like OnlyFans. I do not like sex work in general. To me, I think it's a degenerate thing that just harms men in the long run. Now, if you're a woman watching this and you're doing any of the OnlyFans and any of that, cool, that's up to you. That's your hustle. I'm not about to tell you what to do. But my belief is sex work and OnlyFans and stuff like that just harms men. It doesn't bring any good to the world, and it just makes pathetic men become even more pathetic, and I believe it brings harm to people. I know right now it's the cool thing to be like, oh, I support sex work. Well, you see, I ain't gonna support that shit because at the end of the day, that's just gonna harm me. And to me, I believe the life that you need to build right now needs to be a better life for your future generations, my future bloodline, the kids I'm gonna have when I'm older, when I find me a beautiful woman and have babies with her, and then we'll carry on the sperm bloodline with her. I don't want porn and OnlyFans to be this popular thing because that's the issue that I have right now. It seems like all this stuff is so promoted right now. Right now, if a woman does not have money, let's say she's in college and her job is barely paying her and she can barely afford her rent, right now, every woman in the world, their quick options OnlyFans because OnlyFans is the easiest way to make money. And by the way, if you have that hustle again, that is up to you. I'm not going to diminish you. I'm not going to treat you lesser. But my belief is that all of that just harms the youth in the long run. And this is also something that's true. I believe promiscuous women are a turnoff to men. No matter the woke culture that we live in right now, the progressive culture that we live in right now, the reality is very, very few men want a woman who's done OnlyFans, who has done sex work in any capacity. Most men that I talk to have told me, like, we always randomly bring up the question, would you date a porn star? Would you date a OnlyFans model? And I've never in real life have I ever received a yes. And I think what it's doing is you're harming men by giving them OnlyFans content, having them spend money for degeneracy. And not, even if it's for free, it just hurts a man in the long run. It harms their brain. But I also think it harms a woman because eventually, if you're dating someone, you're eventually going to tell that person, or they're going to find out on their own. And most of the time, they're probably not going to be like, it's going to be something that may not cause a breakup, but it could cause almost a tipping point from my experiences. So that's why I believe it's bad. But what Sneako's done is he's has OnlyFans models on his streams. Now he doesn't promote their only actual. Well, it's not like he's saying, "Hey, everyone, go watch it, watch your OnlyFans." It's not like some of these other YouTubers are like, "Hey, thank you for being on my stream. I'm a cuck. Shout out to your OnlyFans. Go support her." It's like he's more just like talking with them. They're just kind of there in the background, doing the usual. But Andrew Tate called it out, and he was like, he doesn't like how streamers have to almost do degenerate things in order to get popular, because that is true. If you want to remain relevancy, I don't like the term relevancy, but that's what all the cool kids are saying nowadays. If you want to remain relevant in this sphere, you have to constantly do controversial things. Neon got a major boost off of being a dickhead to everyone, including Andrew Tate. That's what he did. Sneako, as much as people don't want to hear this, but Sneako got popular because he kept saying controversial things in a very controversial manner. The reason why he got kicked out from YouTube is because he simulated I can't say the word, but it sounds like grape, the fruit. I'm not talking about the other thing, but he simulated that, and all of that made him more popular. Even Andrew Tate himself has said that his popularity came because people would like clip out some out of context things he said, and it sounded far more worse than what he actually intended to say. And you're seeing this right now with the red pill. You're seeing, especially with Sneako and Andrew Tate, they've been shifting a little more because they realize that their message needs to be the priority, not the out of context clips that may give them fame, but that fame means nothing if you're just promoting degeneracy and wrong things out there, And so while I agree with Andrew Tate, the one defense I have for Sneako in this instance about what Andrew Tate said was, and Sneako's not really promoting them. However, one thing I do agree with Andrew on this is, regardless, he's putting them on streams, making them widely known. You have a young audience too, Sneako. You have a young audience of young men who are still trying to figure themselves out. And putting their name of the OnlyFans models does bring more attention to them. Because what could happen is some boy who watches you, who's like 16, he still has 2 years left in high school. All of a sudden, he sees this beautiful woman on his favorite streamer's at a channel, And you have to understand that a young man or a teenage boy is going to react different than an adult man. An adult man is not going to really fall for that trap, but a young guy might. Actually, I disagree with that. No, I've seen some old. I'm sorry, I don't mean to call out anyone specifically, but there are some old dudes that I've followed here on YouTube or on Twitter or whatever that will act really weird when a woman is nearby. And I'm like, bro, you're like fucking 40. You're 50. What are you doing, bro? This phase should have been long gone. Okay, I get if you're like a teenager who can't interact with women and you see this beautiful woman and you're like, but like if you're like a 40-year-old dude, if you're above the age of 20, honestly, and you can't interact with women, bro, you just give up at that point. Just becoming celibate, bro, because you ain't getting nothing, bro. Like, and for some reason, some of these guys are parents, so it's like a little weird because I'm like, bro, how are you a parent, bro, acting this way, bro? Like, poor wife of yours, poor kids of yours. And honestly, I'm taking it too farther, but there are some guys that I've met here that I'm like, bro, this is so sus. That's why to me I preach to the youth because obviously when you're young, you're learning about the world. I believe it's said that you don't fully develop your brain until you're 25, and I'm 21 years old, so I still have to, I'm still grinding every day to be the best version of myself. I fucking gave myself a fucking haircut because I believe having long hair is degenerate, but also messed up my it looks weird. But I try to preach what I genuinely believe. I try to be honest, but at the same time, I want to learn from all the mistakes I've made. But I also want to use myself as an example for you guys that watch me, that are like, hey, the mistakes that I made, you guys won't have to repeat them. That's why I like doing story time videos. That's why I like just talking about stuff. So ultimately, all I got to say about the Andrew Tate and Sneako thing is there just really isn't big drama, really. It just seems like Andrew doesn't like Sneako putting OnlyFans models, and I really think this is a kick in the gut to Sneako because he did look upset in his reaction video. Like he looked like he was like, "Dang," because you have to understand that Sneako built his channel around the Andrew Tate community for the past year, over a year now. I don't know. I think it was beginning of 2022. I'm not sure, and I mean, it's the similar to like if you have an idol. Like for me, my idol is Lionel Messi. If Messi went on Twitter or something, I don't even remember if he has a Twitter account or Instagram, and it releases a video saying, "Oh, doing those videos are awful. I don't recommend anyone watching." And be like, "Dang, that sucks, man. This is my idol." It wouldn't stop me. I'd still keep the grind. Like much love to Messi, the GOAT, but it would be a kick in the gut. Like it'd be like, dang, like you were my inspiration. And I think that Sneako feels very similar to Andrew Tate like that. And I think it's not even just that I think that it's his inspiration. I think that he sees Andrew as a role model. I don't know Sneako's relationship with his father. I do know he has a dad that obviously was there for his life. But it's possible that maybe they weren't close. Maybe his dad didn't really teach him morals and all that. Because that's what I see in a lot of young men a lot of times. A lot of young men will seek idols or will seek role models on the internet without knowing that they are. And a lot of times it's because maybe they didn't grow up with their father, maybe they didn't have a good relationship. And I know this is shitty for me to say this because obviously I don't know Sneako. And I know it's a little too far, but I wonder because you have to understand Sneako shifted very heavily. Like it's not like he was never like saying things like Sneako was always controversial. Like Sneako would always like that's actually what drew me into Sneako before all of this happened was that Sneako was a young man who was figuring himself out in the world, kind of like the way I'm doing. My channel is actually kind of inspired by Sneako, at least the old Sneako. And what I liked is he was a young man who questioned everything around him. It wasn't even just the videos he made because he made like mini movies or whatever, but it was this young man who knew he didn't have the answers to life and was trying to find those answers. And that's what I really respected about Sneako early on. What it felt like when he changed it, it felt like he thought he found the answer and was so secured in that answer that if someone tried to even burst that bubble that he was in, he would get all ultra defensive. And I think it's possible that part of that is because he didn't have a role model to grow up with. He didn't have inspiration. He didn't have someone who really sat him down and talked to him like a man. You know, especially hearing his story about how his parents didn't accept him doing YouTube full time, him not going to college. I think a lot of it really turned him away from his parents' guidance, if they even tried to guide him. And I think it's possible that he saw Andrew, this rich man, Bugattis, money, women, doing the online stuff. And he was at a time where he wasn't really rich because he wasn't. I don't think he even had 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I believe he was still at 800K. I'm not sure. And it inspired him so much that he started looking up to him heavily. And I think now that Andrew said something against Sneako, I think that it really just, it's kind of like if your dad told you he was disappointed in you. Like that's probably not to that extent, but I think it's close enough. So I can't blame Sneako for being upset. All I gotta say is though, Sneako, I think it's good. One thing I will say that he should take from what Andrew said is don't promote, like, even just having an OnlyFans model on your stream is gonna promote their OnlyFans. It's gonna promote it, not the way you want to. It's not like you're like, hey, everyone go to her OnlyFans. But what you're gonna do is you're getting her name out there. The term or the saying, all publicity is good publicity, is kind of true. Andrew Tate was hated on the internet for a long time. He got banned from Twitter, banned from YouTube. And he became even more popular after. He went to jail for 5 months and still remained being more popular. Sneako's popularity really rised once he was doing all the controversial thing on YouTube. All publicity can become good publicity. Even Mr. Beast, to an extent, when the Chris Tyson stuff was happening, everyone was talking significantly more about Mr. Beast. Not that no one was, obviously, before that. But it's like bad publicity, as long as it's not EDP level, will be a major W for any person. And I think that Sneako should just look at what Andrew says and hope that, just try to improve yourself, because honestly, I don't believe in promoting degeneracy either. So, I don't know. Really, all I gotta say is don't put your eggs in one basket, all right? Don't put too many eggs in one basket, all right? Spread yourself out there. And I like that Sneako has been doing that more often. Because that's actually, I think that's how Andrew rose to fame. He started talking to more people. I believe that once he got into Aiden Ross, it's almost like his popularity, while yes, it skyrocketed prior, I think his popularity just became significantly more popular once he started talking to Aiden Ross and all that. I don't know, but all I gotta say is maybe don't put too much on a single person, because I think that's dangerous for a young man, especially because Sneako, I believe, is 25. Sneako, I'm sure, has his issues, but I don't know, bro. I'm just making assumptions. I would like to talk to Sneako someday, because I think he's a guy that I think I would be able to have an interesting conversation with. But it is what it is. Anyways, that's all I got to say. Make sure to like, subscribe, whatever. And to the people who might get offended by my take on sex work and OnlyFans, all I got to tell you is I'm over here living life, finding my future wife, while you gentlemen out there are cucking for a girl who only cares about your paper and your wallet. All right, me, I ain't looking for hookups. I'm looking to settle down with a beautiful woman and having kids that we're gonna raise together, and those kids are gonna learn all the morals and teachings that I have for them. The things I tell you guys are gonna be the things that I teach them, and that's what I want. I'm done with this degenerate bullshit of, oh, you should hook up with as many women as you want. Oh, you should pay for this girl's OnlyFans. No, all that shit's bad for you, bro. When I was hooking up with women, it never made me happy. It just felt like I was trying to fill in a hole that needed filling. Pause on that, bro. Pause on that. Okay, but no, reality is stop with this degenerate stuff. Honestly, pick up your Bible, gentlemen. Pick up your Bible because this is where the answers are at. Not on Cash Me Outside Girls' OnlyFans. All you're gonna get is dissatisfaction, and you're gonna go broke. Because I know most of y'all nerds. If you had money, you ain't spending it on OnlyFans. If you have money, you're going out to clubs finding real women. Actually, they aren't really real women. If a girl's at a club, that shit sus. But if you had money, bro, you'd probably have a wife right now, okay? And also sign a prenup, because nowadays it's dangerous. You never know with these women. But anyways, that's all I gotta say. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed it. I'll check y'all out on the next one. Stay sober, stay sexy, and live in the now. Ciao.